Hey guys, welcome back to Faith in 5 Minutes. My name's Brian. I'm the student pastor at Kingdom Life Church, and this is a time that we get to spend looking at God's Word and growing in our walk with Jesus together. Now, before we get going, I really want to show you something. I want to show you a magic trick, all right? So I'm going to take this handkerchief right here, and I'm just going to make it disappear. I'm going to use the skills that I have to just completely impress you today. Right? So I got to get it nice and tight in my hand here. So it's in my hand. Ready? And I'm going to make it 1, 2, 3. It's gone. See, now here's the question. Do you trust me? Most of you are probably thinking, no, that was really dumb. You don't have the ability to make things disappear, and you're right, it's just on the floor at my feet. But here's the reason that I did all this dumb magic trick stuff, and that's because I really want to talk about trust. That's the last thing that we talked about on Wednesday. We talked about how disciples show evidence of their faith. We talked about how disciples are more than fans. We talked about how disciples of Jesus are followers and they're doers. They actually do what Jesus called them to do. But none of that stuff matters. None of that stuff is going to happen unless we actually trust God. See, we have to trust God as a foundation for whether or not we are going to be willing to follow Jesus. And there was a guy in the Old Testament that had every reason to trust God. His name was David. See, David was willing to trust God because God took him from being a shepherd to being a king. He was willing to trust God because God allowed him to defeat a giant. He was willing to trust God because of how God led him as he was ruling as the king of Israel. And here's the deal. In all of this, David wrote some words that really tell us why we can trust God, why he trusted God. He wrote that in Psalm 9, verses 7 through 10. He says this, "But the Lord sits enthroned forever. He has established his throne for justice, and he judges the world in righteousness. He judges the peoples with uprightness. The Lord is a stronghold for the oppressed, a stronghold in times of trouble. And those who know your name put their trust in you. For you, O Lord, have not forsaken those who seek you." David said that God can be trusted. The reason that he trusted God was that God proved that he was righteous. He said that God sits enthroned forever. So he is the Alpha and the Omega. He is the most high God. And so David said, because I know his stature, because I know where he sits, because I know his character, the fact that he is righteous, the fact that he is just, the fact that he judges people with uprightness, because I know who he is and I know his character, I know I can trust him. And then he says this about another reason that he trusts him. He says that he's a stronghold for the oppressed, and he's a stronghold, this is really important for us today, he's a stronghold in times of trouble. So maybe that's you today. Maybe you're worried about what's going to happen when you have to go out, or maybe you're kind of stressed out about being cooped up for the last month or so, or maybe you're just a little bit annoyed about everything going on. This is a time of trouble for just about everybody. But know that in this time of trouble, God is still there. He's still in control. He still sits enthroned forever, and he's still there for you. He still wants you to trust him. The last thing that David says in this passage is this: "For you, O Lord, have not forsaken those who seek you." David is reminding the people of Israel that if they continue to seek God, he is not going to forsake them. He's not going to forget about them. So maybe you're in that place today and you're worried and stressed out and feel like God has completely forgotten about you. Well, David reminds us that if we seek God and we're diligent about trusting him, he's not going to forget about us. and that includes you. Thanks for hanging out with us today, guys. Be sure to come back again tomorrow where we'll have another full service video where we're going to look at Luke chapter 8. Until then, don't forget, trust God because He hasn't forgotten about you. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye, guys.